I think a lot of people, I mean, a few people have been like, oh, I just would love the idea of just like, you know, getting up in the morning and just picking flowers. And I suppose there is a lot of picking flowers, but I mean, it's like running any small business. You are trying to sell them, you're trying to PR yourself, you're delivering. There's a lot of pressure, like the timing of flowers, like, you know, if something goes over, then that's your stock done. Like there's a lot of looking after, and it's a fragile thing that you have to sell and maneuver around and get the timings right for. So there is quite a lot of pressure in that sense. So yeah, I would say it's not just, you know, girlies having a nice time growing a few flowers. It's like it's like any business. It's a proper business. So yeah. I'm harvesting some Queen Lime zinnias. These guys here, they're all in different oranges and limeys and yellows and bright colours. They seem to be quite popular and they love the drought and the sun. So they're one of the best flowers I have at the moment. I used to work for a company called Natura. They're wholesalers in London and globally. And we were sourcing from small farms and selling to chefs in all these amazing cities. And I ran a campaign, I was in the marketing team, and I ran a campaign called Radicchio Not Roses, which was sort of championing seasonality in flowers and in radicchio and food and what was happening in February at a time when lots of things didn't grow. And I connected with all these amazing florists, and the whole seasonal flower farming world was like opened up to me through that. And then, yeah, that's sort of where it catalysed. And then my parents moved to Sussex, to this spot 2 years ago, and I've sort of followed them. They were in London, and Mum comes from a farming background and really wanted to be in a place with a bit of land. And yeah, it was just really, really lucky. Just came at exactly the right time when I wanted to move out of London. I'd sort of had enough of the city life, and they've very kindly let me work on about an acre. So after leaving Natura, where I last worked, I went to Tasmania. I basically worked on lots of, like 3 or 4 different farms that I'd sort of connected with either through Natura or through Instagram. Quite a lot of like big dogs in the industry that sort of led the way, like Marston Farm Girl is one, and then Fern Vero is another that I worked on. And yeah, they really, really helped me learn on the ground. I don't think I'm very studious, so I think it's much better to just learn whilst working. So I did that for about 4 months, and then I kind of just jumped straight into it since then. So yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve. Yeah, totally virgin ground. I mean, I think there's been, not even sheep actually, just it's just been mown. So yeah, nothing, there's not really any infrastructure. But yeah, I mean, that's been really good in a way. We've just built no dig beds, killed all the weeds, put loads of compost over the top and got going. This area is pretty fertile. It's quite clayey, well, it's sort of clay loam here, which is perfect for flower growing. So that's been good so far. And it means that like also I haven't had any like, because we did no dig and we killed all the weeds with this plastic, this year hasn't been very weedy. So it's been an okay year. Next year, when everything self-seeds and all of the thistles are starting to come and all the sorrel in all the fields will land on the open soil, then I might have more problems. Yeah, I'm inspired by a lot of the farms that I worked on. They had a really, they're sort of 5-10 years in, so they really knew what they're doing. And then Instagram is just amazing. Like the flower farming world on Instagram is, because it's so visual, Instagram is so set up for flower farming and everyone is sharing all these incredible varieties. There's also this amazing American flower farmer called Florists, who basically has written like the sort of guidebook to flower farming on a large scale. And she's constantly breeding different varieties, sharing tips, all that kind of stuff. So I've got like her workbook that another flower farmer gave to me really nicely, and I've been following that as well. But yeah, every year we'll be trialling different varieties, working out what works with the soil, working out what works with this increasing heat. And yeah, I mean, that's a really nice part about it. There's so many different varieties of flowers and different colours and different structures and textures, and it's more than just like with fruit. Obviously fruit and vegetables is amazing as well, but there's like so many options on another scale, which is really great. It's really fun. I don't really want to be massive. I mean, growing even an acre of flowers, you produce so many. Like, you know, one plant probably produces 10 to 20, 30 stems. So you can cram a lot in, and you can also grow them really tightly, and that reduces the amount of weed pressure as well. So anyway, you can get a lot, but I think I'd like to hire people to help harvest in the mornings. When I do get to an acre, I will have to, but I probably won't be like getting any bigger than that. Just don't see the need to. I suppose that every year will be a different challenge, won't it? I mean, sometimes it will just be too wet and nothing will grow, or yeah, I mean, luckily this year I did pick a lot of, like, zinnias have been really easy to grow, and I've just randomly decided to grow lots of zinnias, so that's been great. Marigolds the same. Dahlias really like the heat. Well, sort of like the heat. Sunflowers really like the heat. So I've been lucky with them, but I think like earlier in the season, a lot of things died early because it got too hot for them, the colder loving plants. Yeah. And it's the irrigation is one thing, and like because I've got the no-dig beds and I've got a huge layer of compost, it really has held in a lot of the water. So I haven't had to probably water as much, but you are like the flowers, like the cosmos, for instance, they're definitely going over really quickly. So I'm like constantly having to deadhead, and it's just a bit more fragile, all of that. Just the heat will just make everything bloom quicker. So, but because it's my first year, I'm not really aware of how long seasons should be, and I haven't put myself in that sort of, I haven't got customers waiting for particular flowers. I don't have weddings booked in or anything like that. So I think if you're a flower farmer that has a wedding in September and they've said, I desperately need X amount of cosmos stems, then it's stressful. Yeah. So I've got all that to look forward to. So some people have asked for DIY buckets, which seems to be quite popular now, where the bride will just buy loads of different varieties of buckets, flowers in buckets, and then do it themselves. And that seems to be like a very low risk way of me doing it as well, because I can say it's just about the colour scheme and less about individual varieties, and then hopefully that's fine. I mean, again, obviously now that I'm part of this amazing community of mainly women, I'm noticing more talk about flower farming. But I think, like the local food movement, the next thing to happen is the local flower movement. Like, people really are conscious about who they're buying from, where they're buying from, how many chemicals are involved, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, when you go to a standard florist they're selling from Holland or Africa, I mean, those varieties are really grown just for transport and for, you know, vase life. And so, you know, they're bred so that they don't have scent, they're bred so that their stems are really straight. All the interesting kinks and structures and, I don't know, all the interesting sort of floaty varieties just aren't grown in Holland because they just can't be transported around the world. So people also just want lovely diversity and biodiversity and different shapes and colours and all that kind of stuff. And so you do get that when you go local. Huge amount of, there's no regulation around spraying chemicals on flowers because obviously you're not consuming it. So it does mean that if you're buying something from afar, they're usually dunked in pesticides, which is obviously you're touching and smelling, and that will go into your body. So yeah, people are slowly waking up to that, and Instagram obviously helps people to see all of that. It's just becoming, all supply chains are just becoming more transparent, aren't they? So people can see what they're buying. Yes, I think because I was like part of a brand team, I did the PR, but also like a lot of the Instagram stuff. And it was very visual. Again, it was working with farmers. So not only did I obviously interact with lots of farmers, so that helps me like understand everything that's going on with them, but also, yeah, in terms of the actual PR and marketing, I'm probably, yeah, it's been, you know, it's like running any other small business. Like, it's really, it's made my life much easier when I'm trying to sell flowers. And Instagram is such a good platform for that kind of thing. And because I have so many connections through my last work in the same sort of field, I've been able to lean on a lot of people for help and yeah, to sell to. So that's been really good. So it's called Dusky Slug Flowers, which a lot of growers sort of laugh at, because obviously slugs can be the nemesis of all farmers. But Dusky Slug in particular is a type of slug that's common in England. It's native to England actually, and it doesn't really eat any living plants, and it mainly breaks down all the detritus. So it's actually just helping build more compost and breaking down all the dead plants. And I suppose one thing about this farm is that I really want to, I don't know, look after all insects, no matter, or bugs or anything, no matter how ugly they are, and just build a more biodiverse habitat in this area. At the moment, in August, it really seems to be just marketing, delivering, sales, and then a lot of harvesting, because everything's out at the moment, and there's not less built. Basically, I just have to sell and deliver all the time. And like I have a van, so I'm doing it all. At some point, probably I'll get someone to deliver, and then then I have more time to do more of the actual farming stuff. But I think I'm just going to have to do, you know, more of the beds and everything like that will all happen at the end of the season when less is growing. But yeah, it's basically just like all hands on deck, harvesting quite a lot of the mornings and then delivering into London or Hastings. Only really. I mean, Hastings has been such an amazing community, and I just delivered to a few groceries down there, and then the local florists as well have been really wonderful. Once you crack them, they've been really, really, I suppose you have to gain their trust, don't you? And it's quite hard to do that without selling them some flowers, but I'm slowly getting in there. And then, yeah, London is another beast to crack, and it will take me like an hour and a half to drive up there. So I need to make sure that I've got like a van that's full enough to be worthwhile. Yeah, exactly. So that's always a thing with farming, isn't there? The scale, like scaling up versus keeping it small and then not hiring lots of people and then less inputs and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'm like, sometimes there's not a benefit to scaling up. You're not really going to make that much more money. Well, I don't know.
And I guess if you like enjoy managing people and all of that as well, having a bit of a team could be fun, I suppose. But also...
Yeah, and they're definitely like the small farming movement, like the community is such a big positive benefit to living and having a career in this world. Like the people you meet are amazing, and everyone wants to, you know, help the environment, and they're very ethically and morally great. I need at least a year or two to really figure out what I am doing, and you know, I'm very happy for, like, I really love people to come and help me pick, because that's like something that I can easily do. But like DIY jobs, it's like I don't know, I don't even know what I'm doing. So, and how long is a piece of string really? Because you can start on like 5k. You can do it off nothing. And do your own watering, not have a polytunnel, just have everything outdoors. Start with, you know, seeds, all seeds. Most of this is started all from seed or tubers like the dahlias. But, you know, picking seeds that are like very common and you're getting bulk varieties, or you can do fancier varieties. And, you know, in the flower world, like seeds and tubers and all that kind of stuff, the more heirloom, the more rare, you can be paying a load of money. And then if you want perennials, which I will be growing, I've got a few, but you usually grow them from cuttings or plants, and that's obviously way more expensive. So that's a huge investment. And if you want to grow foliage, then that's another big investment. But yeah, you can if you have access to land. I think that's the main barrier, isn't it, with all farming? But if you have access to land, then you can probably start pretty cheap. The flower farm, there's just so many really amazing, strong women that I could just like see myself being. While with food, like there's not really obviously there are, but like less so. There's not like single women just doing it on their own. And the space you have to grow on with veg growing, I think, is just so much more. And there's just the weight of vegetables. There's just a bit more of a physical strength, which I'm actually quite strong, so I think it will be fine. But I don't know, I think it was mainly just that there were so many inspiring women doing it that I was like, okay, they're doing it, I can do it. And I just didn't really see that in the veg farming, which is a shame. No, no, not at all. I mean, luckily, because we're in the High Weald of Sussex, it's not exactly far away. So I am in London, and I'm delivering to London, so I'm nipping up to London all the time, and I just get, you know, I get a night or a weekend and I get to spend it with my friends, like quality time. When I felt like I was living in London, I was just out networking and PRing and working from, 7 till 7 and didn't really have space to breathe in a way. Yeah, and now, I'm running my own thing and I'm my own boss, and obviously that comes with added pressures and stresses, but ultimately, like, I can do what I want. I know! And like, I think I'm naturally a person that I do need structure, but like having too much structure and being told that I have to be at some place all the time, every day, the same thing, it just wasn't really good for me. If you're a learner like me, but I think most people will benefit massively, is you just have to go and work on the farms. Like, work for months, work for a whole year if you can, so you can see all the seasons and you can see all the growing stages, you can see the different varieties that come out, and you can see even the winter, when they're doing all the different practical things. And then you have now I have these amazing farmers on, like anytime I have a problem I can message them and they'll help me out, and building that community around you is really important. Like, I'm sure you get that in your studies, and I'm sure I'm lacking in so much knowledge in that sense of like plant biology and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of practical skills, just getting out and repeating things and doing things all the time, that's given me so much confidence. The main thing is obviously that I'm like totally chemical free. So I would never use any herbicides, pesticides or anything like that to get rid of anything. And then how else do I work with nature? I mean, well, we're building a pond, so I suppose that's like very much about all of the farm, I suppose, is about building a habitat that is for nature just as much as it's for people. Like, the biodiversity within the flowers obviously helps different types of pollinators, and then the pond that we're building will be for all the amphibians and frogs, which is obviously beneficial for us when we get a few pests that they can eat. But yeah, I just want to create pockets of life that will support different habitats, and we'll be growing trees and foliage and other things like that, which will help other creatures in time. And yeah, then looking after the soil and looking after the soil biology. And I mean, the worms here have been incredible, but they seem really happy. And when I walk in the morning, all the birds are eating all of the insects underneath the flower beds, and you walk through and swarms of them are just like flying off. So it's clearly a place that like all creatures are drawn to. So that's really lovely. Not only do they come every year and then they like adapt to obviously your climate, but you don't need to move. You don't need to sow them. You don't need to move them. They're just far more resilient. And every year they're going to get better and better and better. And you can take cuttings or clippings from them and then propagate them on and grow even more. So it's a good skill to have, and yeah, you'll save a lot of money doing it that way. And the flowers are way more interesting. So obviously most florists and all of Holland grow mainly annuals. So that's what you see in all of the shops. So when you're growing perennials, you're growing really different varieties. They're a bit more earthy. I think people are actually quite drawn to them because it's actually what you see in nature around you in England anyway. And that style of floristry is really becoming, thankfully, really popular. A bit more wild, a bit more earthy. So that's good. Well, it's been actually quite amazing, to be honest. I have been wanting to move out of London for years now. So in that sense, I feel very at home. And I grew up in the countryside. So although I lived in London since I was 17, I think in my heart of hearts, I am a country gal. I think the one thing is just the career change and moving out of London and moving away from everyone you know. So there's just a lot of new. Farms that I went on that were bigger, that were sort of like 4 acres, did the rotivating. And maybe I'll have to get to that point at some point. But I mean, the no dig for me has it's just kept all that moisture in, and everything seems to be growing really beautifully, and I've had really, really healthy flowers, and maybe that's just first year virgin soil on top of all the compost, but for me, it just feels like everything's very happy. Again, I can't have anything to compare it to because it's only been this year, but I mean, the amount of different types of bees especially is astounding. Like we have the ground, I can't remember what they're called, but the ground bees, and then all the bumblebees, and I don't know, there's just so many different types. So that's been really lovely to see. And I feel like because of the heat, obviously this year, there's been a lot of butterflies, which has been so lovely. And yeah, and no slugs because it's been so dry. So to be honest, perfect year for me. In my polytunnel, I've got lots of heirloom chrysanthemums, which should, and they're late flowering ones, so that should leave me until October, November. Who knows? I mean, that's the aim, but if I can grow till then, that would be great.
What's the season? So it sort of starts in like
Well,
April, or?
for chrysanthemums?
Or no, just in general.
Oh, in general. Well, March, end of March, we can get the early daffodils. And then, is it March? Yeah, I think it's March. And some Turkestan tulips, which are like a native variety of tulips. They were the first thing to come up. And then the normal tulips from like April. So yeah, it's a long-ish season, and with the polytunnel you can extend it. But it does mean, yeah, you have to make quite a lot of money in those months. And then a lot of florists dry a lot of stuff and sell wreaths and all that kind of stuff. But if I don't have to do that, I probably will not. And I'll just tidy up, like build up the beds, make sure that everything's right, extend the next bit of the farm. Or there's a lot of DIY building barns and compost loos, and I want to introduce chickens, and we've got a pond down there that we need to sort out. So I'll probably be really busy doing that. And then I want to go on holiday. So yeah. Come on, shoo, come on, shoo, shoo, shoo.